Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and today I've got one of the biggest leaps in quality from Blu-ray to 4K that I've ever seen in any review. Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out the new Second Sight 4K box set of Dog Soldiers on 4K. Now, I just got this in from Second Sight the other day, and if you're in the United States, you probably know that a Shout Factory collector's edition came out on 4K as well. Now, Second Sight actually did the restoration for this, so it is the exact same disc that you would get with Shout Factory, and in fact has all of the same extras, but Second Sight, I think, has some better packaging and a little bit more of a premium feel to it. So that's the one I went with, but whether you're looking at Second Sight or some of the other 4K options like Shout Factory, Second Sight did the restoration, so this will be a review that is applicable to any 4K version of Dog Soldiers that you pick up. So in this review, we're going to cover the visuals and talk about the difference between this new 4K master and specifically the Scream Factory Collector's Edition Blu-ray, which is my reference point on Blu-ray. Although there was another Blu-ray release out there, they were both kind of poor, and I'll talk about how the differences here have changed and what's come to 4K in this restoration. We'll also cover the audio, of course, and the packaging and special features that you can get with this Second Sight box set. So kicking things off with the visuals, a little bit of background on Dog Soldiers. It is a more, I'd say, recent movie. It feels like an older movie, but it actually is more recent. It's developed a bit of a cult following, and it's a very low budget indie film basically about these soldiers who get attacked by werewolves. That's as far as I'll go into the plot. I don't like to spoil anything movie wise, but that's the essence of the movie. These hardened, tough guy soldiers who start getting picked off by these werewolves. Now, the movie was shot in 16mm with a low budget, so we have to sort of set our expectations when it comes to the 4K disc around the source. The source is rough around the edges. It was an indie team. 16mm doesn't have that same level of resolution that 35mm does, and the source and the lighting while they were shooting this, it's not the best in the world. Now, with the previous Blu-rays that were out there, the Shout Factory, Scream Factory edition, and the original Blu-ray release, I forget who did that, the releases were really bad on Blu-ray. Honestly, they looked pretty much DVD quality, if not even VHS. There was a little bit of a detail issue, but the bigger issue is that the picture was completely blown out. Like, brightness was artificially enhanced because the movie is fairly dark, but it looks terrible. Like, it completely threw off skin tones, it completely threw off like fire and effects, it completely threw off the lighting throughout the entire picture. They were really sort of abysmal Blu-ray releases. They were not a good looking disc. And this 4K restoration here was supervised by the team behind Dog Soldiers, done by Second Sight, regraded with Dolby Vision HDR, completely revamped from the source, and it is night and day. Here on 4K, it is going to be a darker image than maybe what you're used to if you've been watching the Blu-rays, but that is more faithful to the source and it's more authentic, and it's not too dark. I appreciate this. This is a dark movie. A lot of it's set at night. It's a horror movie. It's supposed to be dark. The Dolby Vision didn't really help that much compared to the standard SDR and what you can see on the 1080p remastered version, but it does give it a little bit better black levels. It does give it a little bit better depth. The HDR, it has its moments. I thought highlights were a little bit better, but a lot of the movie is rough. So, you know, 4K, it's sort of like lipstick on a pig with this one. The biggest deal is that they really went back and restored this and made it look right. So whether you watch this new remastered 1080p disc or the remastered 4K disc, you're getting a great experience. 4K does give you a slight uptick in the detail and the quality of the picture. That higher resolution does help, but since it's 16mm, it is sort of a minimal change between the two. However, I have to note, you can't buy this 1080p, this new disc, as a standalone. So if you want the best version of Dog Soldiers, you need to buy the 4K, and I would totally recommend the 4K anyway, even though HDR isn't really a big difference maker and sometimes could make a dark picture even darker for people who don't have higher end TVs or OLED or have calibrated sets. Like, yeah, that could be an issue for some people, and you may say it's a little bit too dark, but it's not blown out and it's not artificially brightened, and you can see in all of these screenshots, which again, representative, you're watching this on YouTube through YouTube compression, you know, not on an HDR monitor most likely, but you can clearly see where the differences were just in brightness and contrast. So I really love what they did here. This is obviously an excellent restoration. Finally looks the way it's supposed to look. It has its, you know, bumps and bruises on the source, but I think it's a great 4K release, and comparing it to what was previously available on Blu-ray, this is a massive, massive leap forward and is by far the best the movie's ever looked, probably the best the movie ever will look. And it's time to throw out your old Blu-rays because those are totally obsolete when it comes to Dog Soldiers. This is the way it's supposed to be viewed, and Second Sight did an amazing job with this restoration. Now for audio, this packages a DTS HD 5.1 track and a DTS HD 2.0 stereo track. Now the 5.1 doesn't really do much for you. There's not much happening with the surrounds. Again, an indie film, didn't have crazy budget, didn't have crazy sound design, sound production, sound mixing. It's just not the type of movie, you know. It's a low budget indie horror movie that became a cult classic favorite. So 5.1 is here. That's fine if you feel like you need it, but it doesn't add much. If you want to stick with the stereo track, I actually found sometimes that was a little bit more full. A lot of the sound is coming sort of from those front channels anyway, so by focusing just directly on those two fronts, I got a better experience at times versus having it spread out across a center channel, across two back surrounds and rear surrounds. I just had a better experience with the stereo, but 5.1's there if you want it. They're both not very dynamic. Like, they are not going to be home theater busters that shake your floor and make your neighbors call the police. Not the type of track you're getting here, but it works for what it is, and personally I would prefer the stereo. So check them both out, make your own decision, but I think it's serviceable. It's just not as great as the video quality. Now packaging wise, I love what Second Sight does, and that's a big reason why I go with them when there's, you know, Shout Factory options at times, because I love what they do with the packaging. You get this nice hard slipcase, very much like Arrow video type quality. I should now call it Second Sight quality because they're right up there with Arrow in my opinion. And you get some newly commissioned artwork all the way around, which is very cool. Now on the inside, you probably saw this with the last Second Sight release I did, but you get this huge book. This is a 112 page book on Dog Soldiers with all these essays. And yeah, do we always read all the essays that come with these things? No. But I should read more of them, honestly. And I love that this is like field notes, and they do a really cool job with the design. It has some behind the scenes pictures. Just great if you're a fan of the movie. And then you do get some art cards as well with the new artwork, which is very cool by that artist. Now inside, you've got the new artwork. Again, just a cardboard fold out here, but as always, hard plastic covers. There are no slips here, no cardboard slips. You know, fairly protected, pretty basic on the artwork again on the inside, but you know, UHD and Blu-ray disc available. As always with these, the 4K disc is region free, as all 4K discs are, or all should be. We had a controversy a few years back where one wasn't. But 4K discs are region free. The Blu-ray included in here will be region B. So if you did want to watch that Blu-ray, you'll need a region free player to do so. But if you just want to watch the 4K, you can watch that on any 4K player. Now for special features, let me read you some of what's included here. First of all, this is the new restoration approved by director Neil Marshall and director of photography Sam McCurdy. We've got a couple of archive audio commentaries from older releases, but then we got a new audio commentary by writer and associate professor of film Allison Pierce. We've got a new 40-minute interview with Neil Marshall about werewolves, crawlers, cannibals, and more. A history of lycanthropy with author Gavin Baddeley on werewolf cinema, werewolves, folklore, and cinema, another video essay, werewolf versus soldiers, the making of dog soldiers with producers and directors and actors in the movie, special effects artist, a cottage in the woods with the production designer, that's another interview there, a short film by director Neil Marshall called Combat, a gag reel with a commentary by Neil Marshall, and trailers and the photo gallery. And then of course you get the slipcase, the book with new essays, and 6 of those art cards. So it's packed. And as I mentioned again, all of those special features, even though they say new on the Shout Factory site, they are new, but they're not exclusive to Shout. So everything you'd get in the Shout Factory release, you get here from the Second Sight release. Essentially, Second Sight really put this release together, did the restoration, collected the materials, and Shout Factory is the United States distribution arm of this release of Dog Soldiers. Essentially, they're going to have the rights in the US, and Second Sight's going to have the rights in the UK. So I have to say I highly recommend Dog Soldiers for horror movie fans. If you like a good creature feature, if you like the indie horror sort of low budget feel, this is definitely one of those cult movies that's gained a ton of notoriety and attention over the years since it came out. Obviously wasn't a big box office success, but it's the type of movie that you find less and less of these days. I enjoy the movie. This 4K release is night and day difference between what was available on Blu-ray. Those Blu-rays, as far as I'm concerned, are complete trash right now, and you have to get one of these 4K releases if you truly care about this movie. So if you want to pick this up, I'll put a link to the Second Sight release in the description. I'll also put a link to the Shout Factory release. That's going to be a little bit cheaper. You're not going to get the slipcase and the booklet and stuff like that, but you will get the same presentation and all those special features. So whatever you decide as a collector, if you want the collectible edition or you want Shout Factory and save a few bucks, I'll give you both links, and those support my channel, so I appreciate that. Other than that, I hope you guys are subscribed so you never miss a video. I am going through a move right now, so videos are a little sporadic, so subscribing is always a great way to make sure you never miss an update. Also, make sure to follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Twitter in particular has been blowing up for me lately for whatever reason, so I've been posting all kinds of stuff over there. I just had a couple of tweets picked up by like big horror movie accounts. Diana Prince from Last Drive-In shared my tweet on her Instagram story. Like, Twitter's gone kind of nuts for me lately, which is cool. But obviously you can follow me anywhere and get in touch there, and make sure to check out all the other links in my description for the ways you can support my channel and my partners. I really appreciate that. So thank you to Second Sight for sending this one out for review. I really appreciate that. Hope you have a great rest of your day. You guys stay safe and healthy out there, and I'll talk to you soon.